Quack!
Yeah, Sam.
What was that? Oh, don't do that again.
Yeah, I threw you off, didn't I?
Oh, didn't like that. Anyway, I'm back. Are you happy? Did you miss me?
Moderately, yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a nice time with Jack?
I did have a nice time with Jack. Yeah, we had a good time, as we always do. Yeah.
Right. Well, as always, I've got a question for you, Quack. So, my question for you this week: what is the biggest team implosion you've ever seen? So I'll give you a second to think. At least I think it's a second anyway, because I don't know how long the intro is. So Charlie, roll the fucking intro. Right, intro's been rolled. Quack, your answer please. Don't fuck up this week.
MIBR when they got Mayern. That fucking shit went downhill so fast after that. In like you remember when we were all clowning on Fallen, on Fur, and on Taco when they had Mayern in, and that team went from like major playoff contenders, and within a year they were losing to Wisla Krakow. This team was pure, unadulterated ass.
Am I just forgetting
that team
that happened? Hang on. Keep talking.
Yeah, but then the entire thing just kind of imploded because like Fallen, Fur, and Taco just kind of fucked off. They got players like Leo Drunky and VSM into that team, and KNG came back, and it was a hellish lineup. And then Fallen, Fur, and them, they went to Imperial, had their last dance thing, whatever. And now they're kind of back, but that team was so shit. So aggressively shit at that point. It did just flat out fucking implode.
I've clicked on a best of 3. It's CS Summit 5. They've lost to. Oh wait, no, they've won on this map.
Yeah,
it's a best of 1 that they won. I'm really confused by this. Was this? Is the sorry? So I've clicked on this, right? Is the veto just listed wrong? For this, it seems like there was only 3 maps in the map pool. I guess G2 just banned, and it's just the way they list it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've actually won this one, but the team is ugly. Taco Fur, KNG, Fallen, Mayan. Like, that ain't a nice lineup, is it?
It's not great, and it was like remove Mayern and KNG, put in Coldzera and Phelps, and that same team was major semifinalists in Katowice, I believe. Yeah. It's grim. Like, it's grim. It's really fucking grim. And then how quickly it went downhill after that, because I distinctly remember how clowned on this team was when they lost to Wisla Krakow, which I think at the time had like Hades and Goofy and some other people. It's just, and then it just completely, like, just complete renewal. Just, I didn't even remember that this motherfucker existed, but TRK was there before. I think he was maybe even there. Yeah, no, he's the guy who replaced Mayern. It was ass. It was pure ass. And yeah, it just kind of had to be reinvented.
The thing is, though, like, they'd kind of slowly killed expectations for a while. I agree, they did then implode, but expectations had been dead for a while. My answer was going to be the Cadian era of Team Liquid, because obviously, you know, they formed that team with huge expectations. You've got Cadian after his success with Heroic. You finally got someone to free Yekindar from the shackles of IGLing. Twists is back. Naf is still good. Skulls. Zeus, legendary coach, not yet addled by mushrooms or whatever the fuck he's been consuming. It all looked great. They were doing wicked content. It just didn't work, did it? And then there's things that have been heard behind the scenes that I've alluded to many times. Mind Body Baldy, come at me for saying that again. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see you deny that these things happened without me even saying that they happened, which means, oh, fuck, they happened. Real bad things. And that team, you know, it just imploded because no one could buy into Cadian's system. Which, yeah, okay, Cadian hasn't been as good in CS2, but that was a fucking travesty that they couldn't buy into the most successful pure system of the previous 4 years.
Yeah.
But so the reason, Quack, that I asked you this question, and you stayed quite topical, is FURIA. Because rumours would have us believe that FURIA are dead in December to the point where they will not have a player left. So let's go over the rumours, right? Obviously, we know Fallen is retiring. After that, there have obviously been rumours for a while about Molodoy going to Spirit, which just feel like bullshit anyway. But people are compounding on those of, what if Yekindar goes as well? What if Yekindar maybe takes over IGL in Spirit, I assume is the way it would work. Or maybe he replaces Zontix, because Zontix is terrible. Truly bad player. Okay, there's something there, maybe not. But then, on a Gowlev stream, the man himself was saying that maybe Keserata and Yuri could be off to MIBR at the year, and that MIBR might be looking to form a bit of a super team, which would, you'd assume, be Insani, NQZ, LNZ, Keserata and Yuri, which is a fucking strange lineup that kind of sounds like it would absolutely slap. I think maybe you'd need a bit more out of NQZ, but I could see that lineup being consistent top 10. I could see it being at the level Legacy is at right now. So I want us to go piece by piece through these. I think let's start with Spirit, and then we'll circle back to Brazil. Yekindar and Molodoy on Spirit. Obviously, you're getting rid of Shiro. Who would you get rid of to make room for Yekindar? Would it be Magix and maybe Yekindar IGLs, or would it be Zontix because Zontix is poo?
I think it would have to be Magix, but that would require quite a bit of. I think either way you do this, you have to reshuffle quite a bit of roles, so you might as well cut Zontix. But I think that's also going to lead to like an awkward thing where now Magix is. Now he's the caller. He's finally like adjusted to this, and now you have to put him back to be a non-player. I don't know. I think maybe it gets a bit too weird if you're going to do this. I don't know. I think maybe it gets a bit too strange. You want Yekindar to be an opener kind of player, fit for the IGL role. So you probably need to move. You need to move Tenier no matter which way you shake it. I don't know. Magix doesn't open that much. I don't feel like. So no matter which way it goes, you're moving somebody. So maybe you might as well cut Zontix and be done with it because he is ass. And if you're gonna have somebody in those positions, Magix is not going to be all that much worse, to be honest.
So this is where it gets weird for me, right? Because in my head, if I'm cutting anyone from Spirit, I'm booting out Zontix and I'm letting Tenier take all the CT roles. But then Yekindar would probably want a decent amount of those.
Yeah.
And I'm putting more focus on Tenier on the T side anyway. But then I look at the idea of a Spirit T side, which includes Magix, Spirit, Yekindar. I said Spirit. What? Magix, Donk, Yekindar, Molodoy, Tenier, right? Donk's an opener. Yekindar's an opener. Magix used to be, your kind of more entry player. So there's maybe a room for him there where he could do kind of the Messi role. But you don't want to be IGL in that role. It's not an amazing role to IGL from. Molodoy, as we know, aggressive. Tenier, he's a bit more lurky, but he's kind of... When Tenier plays best, he's kind of more aggressive with his lurks. He's actively prodding the holes that are open rather than waiting for the holes to open later on when someone else is prodding, more like Spinks would do, for instance. So you've got a lot of players that are going to want to take fights quite a lot. So I feel like actually if you're bringing in your Kindar, Magix has to go. And I've kind of been actually... I'm all right with Magic's IGL. I don't hate Magic's IGL. I've seen him call a couple decent games. So yeah. I don't think actually there's any room for your Kindar on Spirit at all. I think they need a very different type of player. I'm not going to pretend to know what type of player it... Well, no, I can tell you what type of player it is. They need Mezzi. Essentially, they need Russian Mezzi. And they need to put more focus in Tania, which God knows why they aren't doing, because Zontix is probably the worst player in the top 20, not counting IGLs. But so that part I don't like. The Molodoi part I also think... Listen, we all give Shiro shit, right? But if you put most AWPers in Shiro's position, it ain't going to go too well for them, because Shiro actually has quite a hard go of it on Spirit. Like, he'll always be positioned as a star because he's an AWPer, and everyone by default positions AWPers as a star. But he gets very little as an AWPer because Donk gets so much. This isn't a team with a great supportive system anyway. So when all the support gets funneled into Dunk, as it probably should, it's not easy for Shiro. And I think that's a thing that gets forgotten a lot. And Charlie found a tweet as we were coming up to this episode, which says, and he's not pulled it up just yet, so I'll have to find it. It says, "This is horseshit. Shiro's game is way better than Molodoi's in nearly every facet, I would say, except openings. And I hate Shiro." And I'm not sure I fully agree. I'm not sure you would either. But I kind of think this person is right. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I think it's... Look, okay. You're comparing a player who's had half a decade at top flight play at the moment. As of this year, Shiro's been a tier 1 player for half a decade. With limited development over that time, I don't think Shiro now is significantly better than Shiro was in 2021, which is insane to say. Compared to Molodoi, a player who is probably better, like in terms of raw ability, but he's unpolished. Like he's a lot more aggressive. He takes a lot of fights that he probably shouldn't take, which means that he dies a lot more than he maybe has to do. And that's the kind of stuff that you have to iron out over time. Fundamentally, I don't think Molodoi would be better than Shiro on Spirit. Right? I think Molodoi maybe has higher potential. I think Molodoi can be, maybe even will be better long term. Last year probably was better, to be honest. Like over the course of 2025, Molodoi was probably better than Shiro, I would say. But you couldn't put Molodoi into Shiro's positions because Shiro, the one thing that he doesn't do very much on Spirit is opening. Because they have a little, 5'7" guy who does all that job for them.
5'7" is generous to Donk.
It is generous, yeah. Well, you know. But yeah, anyway, they've got a little monster who does all their opening for them. Like Shiro, I said this at some point when I think it was ahead of 2024, or maybe some point midway through 2024. I said something like, on Retake the Week, I said something like Shiro is going to be, this and this good in 2024 because, Spirit are this good and he's got Donk by his side. And then T said, well, no, Shiro, even if Shiro plays his absolute best game, he's going to be nowhere. He's not going to be top 5 in 2024 because he's just going to have nothing to do. Like, Donk is going to take all the openers and that's just going to be like half of the job of a CT side operator is going to be gone. And Shiro, that's kind of been the case. Like Shiro has been, he does a good job. Overall, he does a good job. It's just his job is not opping in the same sense that Molodoi's is. So yeah, I do think Molodoi might be better pound for pound, but it's comparing two different kinds of player, I would say.
The thing is, as well, you can't even do like the classic easy one to do with this is, well, who's better in an arena? And they both fucking suck in arenas.
Yeah.
So you can't even do that. I think the idea of getting Molodoi over Shiro is ridiculous. Even if this is the worst year Shiro's ever had. Like, next year, fine. If Shiro fucking sucks next year, fine. Fine. But when Spirit were eliminated from Cologne, Shiro was their best player in that series. Round swing might have told you otherwise, but he was. He was the only one really showing up in that series. Like, it's just not as easy as people think it is. People think you can swap players out and it doesn't matter. But, you know, as producer Charlie said before the show, Nico said in the last week, Kaiosuke doesn't look as good because so much of their resources get funneled to Munasi. You're not going to take that much away from Donk to funnel it into Molodoi instead. So Molodoi would look a lot fucking worse on Spirit and probably actually get exposed. But let's circle back to the Brazilians. Queserato and Yuri on MIBR. How do you feel about that?
I like it. I think when I saw this drop, it's basically assuming no way in hell this happens if Yekindar or Molodoi or both stay on Furia. I'll just say that. But if they don't, then Queserato and Yuri end up in an interesting position because Furia will either have to buy a core from a different team, which would presumably include at least one Brazilian player.
Which
means you're probably...
I'd like to point out, at that point, there's only one core you can buy. You have to buy Art, Dumao, and Try.
Oh. I don't think you can buy them. I think at this point they might be... Yeah.
I don't think you can.
Well, okay, yeah.
You would have to buy a core. And I don't think LNZ, Insanity, and who am I missing? NQZ offers as much as Try, Art, and Dumao. I think that's the much better core if you don't want a significant drop-off.
But then which one do you screw over? Like, who's the new Nissim on that team? Out of Dumao, Queserato, and Yuri?
Yuri.
Hey, I mean, look, that's also the problem with buying Legacy is that you really don't want to buy Nissim. You really don't want to buy Nissim.
Like if you yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway, I think if you're Furia, you have to buy a core. It's going to be really expensive. And you're probably going to have to end up with either a role composition, which is a bit wonky if you buy somebody from Legacy. Because I don't think Yuri should be like your hard supportive guy in the same sense of, I guess maybe he is now. No, Yekindar, like, I don't know. But anyway, or you buy from a lower ranked team and you just end up paying a lot of money for something which is less, like, worthless. Not worthless, worth spaceless. And instead, Yuri and Queserato could look elsewhere. You know, you could end up playing with Insani, LNZ, and NQZ. And I'd say with Yuri and Queserato, that's probably a top 10 side, to be honest. Given where MIBR is sort of floating about where they are right now. And then you stay in the top 10 conversation.
Here's my view on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they're the type of team that floats between, like, 14th and 9th, that sort of team. Which is a good place to be in current Counter-Strike. And especially if you hold America's core, because you're guaranteed to go to the major. Like, you're never missing the major with that. I think if they want to stay where Furia are right now, is when you have to start thinking about the legacy core. But either way, you're going to get a bit of a drop-off. It's just that the drop-off with MIBR core is slightly more significant, but they would make MIBR a lot better. They seriously raise the floor and the ceiling of that team. So I actually like it. If Furia are to implode, well, then I think them going to MIBR is great. If Furia are going to implode and not buy a core, them going to MIBR is probably the perfect move. because you'll get a better MIBR team and Legacy don't get affected. Because Legacy, we'll talk about them later, but they're fucking great. However, you said something a second ago about Keisaratu and Yuri potentially being able to look elsewhere. And I hadn't thought about the idea of elsewhere, but then my brain instantly connected a dot. Imagine Na'Vi were to buy Frozen. Imagine Keisaratu and Yuri on FaZe. Now, I kind of like it. I kind of like it a lot.
I do, as well. But it's one hell of a move. Honestly, it's one hell of a move. Yeah, I do kind of like it. To be honest, I guess the thing with, if you're trying to figure out which core FURIA should sign for Keisaratu and Yuri, you're kind of limiting yourself to they have to be Brazilian. You need to keep that identity, and then you need to buy a Brazilian team, because outside of Luminosity, who are trash, there's not like a single Brazilian player and 2 others you can buy. But then once you start talking about Keisaratu and Yuri moving to MIBR, well, then you've sort of opened themselves up to, well, they no longer really have to care about the brand, that they need to be on a Brazilian team. Like Keisaratu and Yuri might not give a hell, like they might not give a crap about that. They might as well play on, maybe, they might as well be playing on Spirit, or the Mongols, like, for all they care. Like, they could be one of these teams. So then you could put them anywhere, yeah. Then you could honestly put them on FaZe, and that would be quite a good team.
I mean, you could even put them on fucking Na'Vi, for all I care.
I hadn't thought of this.
There are a lot of European teams that could massively benefit from Keisaratu and Yuri as a duo. Not even taking individual ones. Like, as a duo, they would massively improve a number of teams. G2.
Do you know what? Okay.
They would improve G2.
Do you know what?
Improve Na'Vi.
I was about to say, look at this. Okay, so I've got the solution. Before you said that you don't know you need the Russian Mezi to come into Spirit, right? Heavy God.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
G2 sell heavy God to Spirit, and then you figure out some sort of leadership situation. You figure out which one of the others you want to cut. I could kind of see it going both ways if you want to, like, if maybe you could make one of the, but probably not. Fucking take Nerds out of here. I'm sorry, mate,
Trash.
but Keisaratu's better. We've got Keisaratu, Yuri, Mattis, Wrinkle, and then Hunter as the caller, and we can just scapegoat him in 3 months as soon as there's a better option.
Now, hear me out.
And you also scapegoat Wrinkle. And honestly, to be honest, just like maybe Matty's not good enough either. Put Yekindar in.
Well, I was going to say this with like FaZe. You can get your Kindar on there as well. It'd be great. But hear me
just
out.
buy all 3. You get their ranking as well. Top ranking in NA. Or in Americas.
I think I've got something. I'm not 100% sold on one of the pieces. But I do like him. We're going to have to see how he goes in the next 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Woxic, Kiksan, Wicardia, Yuri, and Keisaratu.
Ooh, poor Centaurus.
You can trade one insane fan base for another insane fan base. What you lose in Turk, you gain in Brazil. And you probably have a team upgrade. Because, like, let's be real. Jim Fat, he ain't all that. He kind of lost his... When everyone found out that he's just, like, hidden Gooner, I feel like he lost his juice. I feel like he suddenly got concerned as people were looking over his shoulder and watching him fucking jork it. And he's not been the same since. I don't know if these things, if the dip lines up with that, but I'm going to pretend it does for the sake of my bit. Santares, he ain't Santares anymore. So get me Keisaratu, get me Yuri, get me some serious fucking firepower and experience on that Aurora team.
Right.
And now I'm excited.
Can I just tell you that you have just traded away the 2 top-rated players for Aurora so far in the season? For Yuri and Keisaratu.
don't care. There's no way Riccardia is the highest rated, by the way. Surely not.
He's 110. He is the joint third best with Woxic.
Crazy.
So fourth.
It feels like Riccardia's been slapping.
Yeah, but Jimmy's had some bangers so far, man. He's a couple of these games. Jimmy's been back to being like Mouse NXT Jimmy.
I just don't trust him, man. I don't know what it is. I find him to be untrustworthy. I've seen the dip.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? I've seen the dip and I didn't like it. And Zantares, like, it's new manager bounce, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what I will say about this? He has farmed K27, Nemesis, Echo.
Are we talking Zantares or Jimmy?
And Jimmy and Gigi. I assume Zantares has farmed these teams as well, but Jimmy's been kind of stank against fucking FURIA.
Bro.
Big.
LAN in the last month, he's 1.03. Actually, that's insane.
Yeah, but what?
It's 8 maps, right? 8 maps, right? Listen to this. CT rated
8 maps. Fire him!
1.17. T rated 0.87.
Yeah, but Zantares has been 119.
Yeah, no, new manager bounce, man. We all know what he was before this.
Yeah, and also I'll tell you that LAN for Jimmy also includes the GG House series. 2.05 he had on one of those maps.
Bro, I'm telling you.
Yeah, he's bad. Get him out of here, man.
Zantares is first.
He's lost it.
He's just got like first 12 games Alan Pardew in him right now.
Yeah.
When first 12 games Alan Pardew's gone, Zantares will go back to being like a 1.05. Not good enough. Get me the Brazilians. Get him in.
Put him back on Havu. There we go. And then get the Brazilians in, yeah.
Yeah, and then we can form a team of like Ariel, X7, Sergey, Jimmy, and Alu. And we just have
Alu's
fun with that one. We'll just have fun.
Yeah, Alu's about.
We'll just have some fun in the finish scene. But yeah,
Sergey back.
FURIA, I don't think they implode. I'm going to be real with you. I don't think they do. I think they understand it would be relevancy suicide to give up their core at the end of the year. And I think they'll probably make some okay signings. They'll drop off. They are going to drop off. Undoubtedly. They will. But I think they'll be alright.
Yeah.
And the main reason, though, not just because of relevancy suicide, I think this is because, well, the two main reasons. Yekindar is already IGLing on a couple maps, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
And MIBR have just signed Thomason, or are about to sign Thomason.
Or Insani.
Well, it could be a replacement long term, but it's I don't like saying his name. Can you say his name, please?
Well, Breno.
Yeah, ridiculous. That does not equal.
Yeah.
That is like.
That's the same, but that's the same thing how Swedes call Male 09 like Liam, because that's just his name. Like, it's just easier. Breno.
Yeah, no, but we don't do this, mate. We do, like... I'm not going to start calling fucking Caserato fucking Kike or whatever his name is, because it's like...
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't, would you?
Well, exactly. I think it is actually like Kike, isn't it? But, you know, it's fucking easier to say than Caserato. Yeah. So, no, he gets his stupid fucking gamer tag, which is just a fucking
Brendan.
sound. Yeah, it's just a sound. It's a Burns. Like, fuck him.
Brendan.
Yeah, fuck him. Right, I'm glad he's being cut for his name alone. But it does, unless it's a long term, we don't know what Insani's going to do. It does potentially dispel this rumour of Caserato and Yuri very quickly, while also probably making MIBR a better team if Insani stays. If he goes, they'll get worse anyway, because Insani's great. Yeah. You got any thoughts on this move?
I was so off the grid this weekend that I didn't even hear about it until just before we started recording. Thomason is really good. He should be somewhere better than Bestia. It should have been Legacy if things had gone differently. really cracked out, man. He should have made a move like this 2 years ago, to be honest. So I'm happy it's happening. I'm happy it's. I reckon like Tomashin and Insani have always been in the same kind of transfer conversations. So I assume that the long-term intention of this is if and when Insani leaves the team, he is the guy who will take those roles because they have some overlap. But it's just really good is the thing. So you could probably make him do anything. But yeah. Breno is a weird kind of player. I feel like he is the he's like, he's not good. Like, he does the job, but probably at most at the absolute bare minimum level of what he can do.
Server on a game day.
That's the thing. Like, the most he ever does is the bare minimum. Like, it's obviously good enough to be on the team for 4 fucking years, evidently, somehow. But he's just never going to be better than that. So, like, I can't even think of an analogy, like, who would be a different team's kind of, this kind of player. Because I was going to say Tessa's, but, like, Tessa's is, like, decent. What?
No, Snow doesn't even do the bare minimum. He doesn't even do the
No, Snow is just horrible. Snow is just horrible. Yeah, Snow does just fucking suck. He's kind of what... No, I don't even have an... He's his own kind of player. He's probably the worst acceptable player in Tier 1 Counter-Strike history. So congratulations. Now, go back to whatever Fluxo or Red Canid's team will take you, mate, and maybe you'll be good again, but bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the type of move MIBR need to make if they want to go further.
Yes.
I just hope that it does mean the end of the year is Fallen retires and Insani signs for FURIA. Yekindar becomes an IGL and is actually, like Twists has kind of done with FaZe, is actually willing to give things up to try and promote other people. Like, if you're going to do the IGL switch, you need to fucking just do it. Like, you need to give it a proper shake. It's like Hunter, right, on G2. They played Mirage. He kept hold of his short rolls. Do you know who calls CT side Mirage for G2?
I would have assumed it's Hunter because I think he did it when Snacks was there. But
Nerds makes a lot of calls, so Hunter can focus on his crosshair.
That's great.
It's so stupid. Like,
great job.
Just fucking, like, you ain't the guy anymore. Take the step back and commit. Like, that's what you have. If you're going to become an IGL, you have to commit to being a fucking IGL, in my view, because there's only a special few people that will ever be able to hold up what they were before and become the IGL. So I hope that is what Yekindar does if he is the IGL solution. And honestly, I think at this point he will be. I can't imagine it's anyone else unless...
I don't like that.
You don't like Yekindar?
Do you think
IGL?
Yekindar is a good IGL? Do you think Yekindar is a good IGL?
No, I think he's probably a great secondary caller.
Because I feel like every time I read the interview that he did with HLTV the other day, and like they were pretty candid with the fact that I call on a couple of maps, and it's kind of something we're working with. We're exploring the idea that I take over calling when Fallen retires. Obviously, it's an obvious idea that you would do that. He also sounds really uncertain about the fact that he would be calling. Like, he sounds like he when he talks about it, it sounds like he finds it really difficult. It sounds like, I can't do it properly, and I admire those who can do it properly. That's what I felt like a couple of those quotes were. Like, and I'm reading way too much into just a couple of sentences. But I also don't think he's been all that successful when he has been calling in the
No, he
past.
hasn't. He hasn't. But this is the problem, right? You're then FURIA. Do you accept losing a Brazilian core? Because there's no other way
I would accept losing Yekindar.
Okay. Because you can't accept losing Molodoy and getting your Brazilian core that way. Because your only option is NQZ.
They know, yeah.
And MIBR aren't letting him go.
I also don't think NQZ are all that bad, but Molodoy is obviously better, or is all that bad. Yeah, it's just a tricky... I think they're just going to get a caller, to be honest.
Like, you're not getting Big Uzera. You're not. It's not happening.
I don't think you want him, to be honest.
And also, I don't think there's enough reason to get him. Really.
I don't think Art goes back either. Oh, do you think Art goes back? like FURIA franchise player.
I think if you want a Brazilian IGL, Art is your best option.
Do you think he'd go back? He was one of the original FURIA guys. I'm sure Kiss wrote on Yuri love him.
I reckon. I'll say it now. I reckon in 2027, Legacy are a better team than FURIA throughout the year. And I think within the next couple months, that prediction will start looking very good.
All right. So probably no then, because why would he downgrade?
Yeah, I think it might be a downgrade. To be honest.
Yeah, Legacy would probably instead have the pull to like grab Yuri out of FURIA and put him onto Legacy.
Because
if Art wants to play with him, yeah.
Sida, whatever, probably a decent coach, right? He's probably decent. You hear okay things about him. But Fallen's a guy who was operating without coaches and was like the premium tactical mind at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Or he had fucking Dead as his coach, right? It was Dead providing. Like, we don't know how much is... Well, yeah. We don't know how much Sida is actually doing or providing in that sense. I think Fallen will be such a fucking massive loss to this team. I think Molodoy loses a load when Fallen goes. In case of Rata and Yuri even will. Yakindar probably will. Like, I think Fallen is going to be a huge loss to that team. In that case, yeah, Art would be downgrading. So I wouldn't do that either. Like,
right.
I think you are right. I think you have to look for a European caller. You're not going to get Gizmy. So you're looking for a European caller, which realistically, most of them you're taking a chance on. I still think if you give Sin a good team, Sin will do well.
Look at this Frankenstein.
You're taking a huge chance. In that case, to get Brazilian core, Yakindar has to go and you have to get Insani. Or you have to throw away the idea of Brazilian core to stay competitive. It's a horrible base for FURIA to be in.
It is, yeah, because I wouldn't want to lose Yakindar. It's just that, like, if you can find a player who is roughly equivalent to him, and Insani might be that player, then you might be fine with selling Yakindar to a team like Spirit or G2 or FaZe and getting a caller that you can trust. But I'm not sure, like, Sin might be that. Hands up, I don't know. I couldn't name one at the moment. I think that's something we'll have to see. Like Charlie, who is in the zeitgeist?
Pull up the HLTV ranking and go down it. There's no one here.
I think at some point we just have to see. We just have to see like who is in the zeitgeist when the time comes. Like Crabany is not a terrible option.
Crabany doesn't excite me because I know how much Coolio does. I don't want Crabany unless I have Coolio. Right?
I don't know. I think this is the kind of thing where like we'd have to see what happens in November and December and see like who is talked about, who is potentially available, who has actually performed well. Because I think you're not
going to get JT because he's just gone to Liquid. You're not getting Gizmy because he's just gone to 100 Thieves. You're paying us I mean, you could, but you're paying a serious amount either way.
Double move in Sony LNZ.
And then fine, but why would MIBR do that? Why would they sanction that? Like, okay, you can't stop Insani because he's out of contract, but why would you then sanction the sale of LNZ? Like, unless there's a buyout and they can't stop it, but it seems that buyouts in CS don't work the same as release clauses in football. Because if you remember, there's teams that have paid. Was it Simple or Flamey's buyout and it was paid, and Navi were just like, no, get fucked, lol, we don't care.
Well, come on, but that was in the ancient times. That was in the Stone Age. But yeah.
Sure.
I get the point.
Like, it ain't good. The IGL market is fucking ugly. Like, am I on HLTV ranking? I'm on HLTV ranking, which is unfair on NA teams for the most part anyway. M80 are down in 40th. And Sin is the first IGL I've seen where I've gone, I like that. It's not great, is it? It's really not great. Oh, unenviable
I think some
position.
somebody is going to end up looking like the IGL of the season at the end of the season. That's got to be your top guy. Right now, I'm thinking it's going to be Krabbenny, and that might be wrong, but like the way it's looking. But hey, maybe we end the year where like MIBR have had a great run and LNZ looks really good, or maybe like maybe Hooksy's back in the swing of it. Like who knows?
Wrong again. It's Jack Gizme von Spreckelson.
Well, yeah, sure, but
it just is.
Yeah.
And do you know who it isn't?
Yeah,
actually?
I guess.
This is a great segue because we've now been talking about this topic for 40 fucking minutes, which it's a great topic.
Yeah.
But we got the rest of a podcast to do. This is a great segue. You ready? You know who won't look like IGL of the season? Go on. Say who, Sam? Who, Sam? Go on. Give it to me.
Yeah,
Feed me.
I don't know who.
Magisk.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
BC Game have lost in two open qualifiers this week, maybe 3. They lost in a Beijing qualifier and a qualifier for another. 3 qualifiers this week, but I believe 1 was maybe, or 2 were maybe for the same tournament. Producer Charlie is telling me now. He keeps up with everything BC Game do, and they lost 2 separate entries into a 60k LAN and 1 for IE in Beijing.
Was that 60? I think it was one of the Stake Pulse ones, the one in in Stockholm. Maybe?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And they had 2 qualifiers, and they entered both and lost in both of them.
Yeah, and they've lost to fucking nobodies, mate. Which, like, there'll be some BC Game fans, because they exist apparently, that are like, they're just radar hacking. What if I was right, though? What if this team will just never work out the way they want it to, because you're asking for too much? Yeah. And one thing I'd like to say on that as well, when I went on Feed the Trolls, Tech Goals podcast, the one thing that me and Thorin really agreed on in that show was that there is a big danger with Magis comes in as one of the most reputable figures in Counter-Strike, right? It didn't go well for him on Falcons, but when you look at Magis, he's a 4-time major winner, major MVP, was on arguably the greatest team of all time, because some people will still call Astralis that, whatever. Knows how to play the game, but it's kind of like his first real shot at IGLing if we ignore that small stint on Astralis. He comes in as someone Simple can respect, and Electronic can respect, and someone that at first they will buy into. But if it doesn't go well instantly, how short is the fuse before Simple and Electronic decide they've made an IGLing mistake again? And then how much worse do BC Games' performances or team building get on the basis of that? I already think we've seen this team fail. I'm going to say that now. I don't think this 5-man roster appears at a reasonable LAN all year, regardless of any qualifiers they play. I don't think they'll get through a qualifier this year. And I think this team will look very different in January.
I think you're right. I am waiting. I was very adamant on the fact that BC Game are not going to have a good season. I talked to several people who thought that they will get into tier 1 competitions. They'll get up the rankings quite quickly. They'll do this and that, and they'll end the year in a respectable position, maybe even at the major. And they might, a lot of people were saying that BC Game were going to make the major. A fucking lot of people were doing it. Here's the thing. These exact qualifiers were the ones they had to perform in to do that. I knew that. I said that. And I knew it wasn't going to go particularly well. It's way too short notice. It's a very fresh squad. These exact games were the ones they had to deliver on, right off the bat. Hit the ground running. Be good from the start. Obviously, we weren't going to do that. That's a long shot. But, I feel kind of like, hey, what the fuck were you fuckers talking about? When I said it's fucking impossible for them to get a good ranking ahead of the major. It's fucking impossible for them to play this well this early, to actually be in the running to qualify for the Singapore major. People telling me, no, but they're going to perform. This team is insane. They're going to roll over those open qualifiers. They're going to roll over all of that stuff. Case in point. I don't fucking care if War 2K or Quasar are fucking radar cheating. That's part of the deal, and you know that's the kind of thing that that people were telling me that no, it's gonna work anyway. It seemed to work out fine for Focus. It seemed to work out fine for fucking Echo, which used to be Tricked or whatever. Not even a particularly good side, but they're the ones who made it through these 2 open qualifiers for the stake posting. I don't know who qualified for Beijing. I haven't actually checked yet. I think Poi was in that. I think like 100 Thieves was in that. I think, but I don't know if they made it through the open qualifier. I think they. Oh yeah, it's still going on. Right. It seemed to work out just fine for them. It seemed to work out just fine for fucking Inox Division, who they're apparently playing very shortly.
Sorry, let's check. What's on an Inox Division? Who plays for Inox Division?
Venoman.
He's back on the show. He's back on the. This is it. Quack. This is his fucking audition for Team Spirit.
This is
if
his
he
moment.
shows up.
Yeah.
If he shows up here, like, get Shiro gone, mate. Get him in.
Nah, but like fucking BC game. If they were supposed to be good, then why the fuck are Eternal Fire here? 100 Thieves are here. Like, there was one more I saw here. Like Phantom.
The fact was, and this is why your prediction was excellent, and anyone who says otherwise is a fucking clueless dickhead. There was way too much for BC game to build, and also too many what ifs within the building. Like, it's not the same as 100 Thieves, where you could say 100 Thieves will make the major, and you can look at it afterwards and go, you know what? Their own, like, swapping out an IGL is a big change, but this is an IGL who's proved they can do it, and they need this. This is kind of the piece they need, right? You can make the solid argument for it. Making the argument BC game will make the major is really difficult. The reason why I made my prediction that Saw will end the year with a higher VRS ranking than BC game is because they have far less to build and far fewer what ifs in terms of their actual building process. I don't believe for a second this BC game team will be successful because I think, as I said 5 minutes ago, they've already had too much go wrong. I think the only way BC Games ever succeeded with this 5-man roster is because your prediction was as wrong as it can be, and because they did hit the ground running, that they got through to EWC, that qualifier they're in and they win it, and they qualify for stake. They needed to go on an incredible run right at the start, and then ride momentum until the end of the year, and they haven't done that. And I think they're probably already at a point of no return. But anyway.
Yeah. It's just, all of these teams are the same. 100 Thieves, Focus, Phantom. You have some tier 1 talent coming down to a tier 2 level. Like, they have even less experience. They have even less pure ability than BC Game have. And supposedly BC Game were supposed to roll over these qualifiers because of that. But no, it's just fucking, no. So, yeah, fuck you for to whoever said that I was wrong about that. But, yeah, I feel pretty good about this. And the thing is, all right, here's another prediction I'll give you, which we can look back on in 6 months. A reasonable team with reasonable management would realize ahead of season that this was the case and would say that, you know what, yes, this season is a building season. This season is a season where we're building a team and we'll try to be good for next year instead. We don't care if we miss the major, you know? We have low expectations. We just want to build a foundation. A little manager we know called Messioso sort of had that feeling about 100 Thieves. You know, what they built, aside from Gizmy, what they built was built in January. And they kind of said, we don't care if we make it to the major in the spring. It would be nice, but it's not a goal. Like, we could miss Cologne. It's fine. And they did. And it was fine. BC Game don't work like that. BC Game will make changes this winter and start the cycle all over again. Either because the players are dissatisfied or the management are dissatisfied. Because they don't have a reasonable management.
This is the thing as well with 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves, I think, will be slightly disappointed if they don't make Singapore. I think they will be.
Yeah.
But I think they're also smart enough to realise that, they might need to change in order to make a major. But also, the way they'll feel about it is, we don't have to blow the project up because the spring season, maybe we didn't lay strong enough of a foundation. And then having to change IGL is a big change. It is a big change, especially if Rain really wasn't suited to the role and Gizmy is having to come in and actually build a lot of foundations himself, right? So maybe they do make a change at the end of the year if they don't make the major. Maybe they make the major and make a change anyway. Or maybe they don't make a change. But they won't end the year and blow up their project. BC Game, because they exist in this state of... I can't find a word that isn't too rude for me to say on a podcast without getting cancelled. They will never be successful with their current model.
No.
Ever. They will be successful eventually. Like, unless their entire idea for Counter-Strike changes, they will be successful eventually. But they'll have a different core when they do it. Anyway. A second.
I mean, my deeper prediction for that is that no, they won't be. I don't think they ever have a good vision for management. I don't think they ever have reasonable expectations.
Well, possibly,
but that's more so a comment on them. But if this team is successful, it'll be under a different banner other than BC Game.
But anyway, a second ago, you said a fuck you to some people. And I believe that you have another fuck you loaded. Because a few weeks ago, I can't remember what the studio is called, but a game studio, they reached out to us about reviewing their video game. And I had no interest in playing said video game because it sounded really bad. I can't remember how they framed it, but it sounded fucking terrible. And I thought, I know who will actually spend the time doing this. I'll just bring Quacke into the email thread. So Quacke, he emails them, he sorts it out, he gets himself a copy of said game, and he's played said game. And because this is what we agreed to, and we won't, you know, we said we'd give it an honest review and we won't go back on our agreement. They did give Quacke the copy of the game, so thank you very much for that, developers whose name I can't care to remember. Here is the review of your game. And before that, we'll just let producer Charlie play probably about 2 minutes of clips. I think the clips Quacke sent me about a minute long each. So if you're listening, audio only, maybe skip ahead 2 minutes because the audio will be the most confusing thing you've ever heard. Or maybe just pull out your phone. Maybe look at your screen, watch it for 2 minutes, and just see what a fucking travesty Goo Deer is. And then afterwards, Quacke can drop his little review. So, producer Charlie, play the clips, brother.
You to your diva fissure. Just gives Mike a jibbers? Yes. Imminent. Shindy and he's Meridi can through here. You to your diva fissure. Yes. Just gives Mike a jibbers. The stipend head revive Glemba lie after. Some terrorists and so rose. You're different for bouquets. Imminent. Yes.
Big day for you, and it's going to be a very successful one. Clean the shop so it looks great. People love... People love great. Put every product in the right place and make it look perfect. Perfect works. The store opens every day at 7 p.m. and stays open until 4 a.m. Donny Crump. Is it, if Sam's John TLR, I guess I'm Donny Crump then.
So the clips have been played. And before I let Quacke speak, I just want to say, when I was sent these clips, I couldn't believe how bad it actually was, how bad it looked. I mean, the one clip is utter gobbledygook. The second one is a note that makes no sense at all. Like, in the way that I would say that people do like very good, and it made me feel very good, or whatever the note fucking says. People who've watched the clip will understand. Quacke, your review, please, sir.
Goo Deer is a dark first-person gas station management game made by VML Studios. And this is not my words, this is their words. It is a gas station management game. Yeah, so it's called Goo Deer because you hunt deer in the forest to make a drink called Goo Deer. And
Okay.
I found it to be horrid. No, okay, so the game it's very basic. It's a very, very basic game. You come into this game and you are presented with a gas station in some sort of dystopian, like maybe Fallout-esque world. And you know, your entire job is to do this. It's a store management game, but then like halfway through the day you have to go out and hunt fucking deer in the forest. And the game looks like Unturned, if you've ever played that game, except probably not on purpose. Like a lot of the graphical quality of the different parts of the game is very varied, to say the least. And yeah, you shoot deer, you pick them up, and then you go make Goo Deer in the basement. And then you're
forgetting the important part. In a clip that we didn't include in our little clip thing, you get to like punch zombies or something. What's the deal with those?
Yes. So one of the most the few bits of engagement that you get to do in this store is that you get to set the price of the Goo Deer. And if you set it too high, or if you don't produce enough Goo Deer, so you can't buy the Goo Deer, your customers will become disgruntled and they will do things such as set fire to your gas station or pour it out on the floor. Yeah, and you have to clean it up.
Brilliant.
I don't know why, but eventually it comes to a head. And in the hour of gameplay I played this game, it did come to a head where disgruntled customers will raid the gas station, which means that they will run at you until you punch them. You have a rifle, but you can't use it. You have to punch these customers until they run away, which I guess is a PG thing. It's honestly probably the only, like, as I was playing this, I was literally saying out loud, I'm not enjoying this game at all. And then the raid began right on cue. And I was moderately engaged for about a minute. And then I went back to making Goo Deer in my basement. It's boring. It's a boring game.
So Quack.
And I was yeah.
How much would you pay for this game?
Yeah, I was sitting there and I was thinking about, like, so it's a moderately engaging idea, running a gas station in something like the Fallout universe. The execution is neither here nor, but like the one thing they had, which made me think, yeah, I could probably sink a couple of hours into this if I was that kind of person, is that they had a global leaderboard of everybody who's played the game and how much money they've made, how much Goo Deer they've sold, how many deer they've killed.
What the fuck?
Yeah. It's like
at the end of
at the
fifth.
I think I was on page 31 of 50, I think. So on the leaderboard, which it was somewhere in like the hundreds, This game, this game's been out for a couple of weeks, so you know a couple of people have already played it. And so maybe I would grind it out to be number one on the leaderboard. That's maybe the one reason I do it. And to do that, I'd probably pay like $1.50, maybe $2. Maybe like, because I always buy games on sale. So like maybe on full price, I'd pay $4, but I wouldn't pay that. I'd wait for a sale. This is a $15 game, so. I'll tell you, the assets that they bought and flipped to make this game cost less than $15 in total, I would assume. So if they sell one game, they made their money back. Yeah, it's just fucking... But yeah, thank you, VML Studios, for the copy. But my honest review is that this is a 2 out of 7, probably. Yeah. 2 out of 7.
I'm taken aback by this, Quack. Because from what I can tell, your review is very true. It's very honest. So I have 2 questions. The first, how the fuck does it even get 2? The second, who uses a fucking rating system out of 7? Fuck yourself, Quack. Fuck yourself. Explain now.
Right, so obviously a 5 out of 7 is a perfect score. The lowest is 1. It gets 2 because I could play it, right?
Well, if you were really drunk...
I've played games where I couldn't play it, right? Let that sink in. If somebody who actually made games proper made this, then it would probably be good. That's what I'll say.
Okay. Why?
If someone who could, I see the idea. What? 5 out of 7 is a perfect score, right?
What? What?
Perfect score. 5.
No.
Somebody gets that.
I don't care. What is that a reference to?
Okay, do you want me to explain? Okay,
yeah, no, I do. I won't be able to do the rest of the podcast until I know.
Somewhere deep in the doldrums of niche internet memes, there is somebody who gave, I think it's a Pokemon game, a 5 out of 7 with the comment saying, "It's a perfect game, perfect score, 5 out of 7." And then insisted that 5 out of 7 was a perfect score.
I've fucking seen this. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right, in future, if anyone wants us to review their video game, we'd love to do it.
Yeah.
Preferably, it would be bad, so I can make Quacke sit through it again. But if you have a genuinely good one, we'd love to review it, and we'd love to actually be positive about it. Because what I haven't told Quacke until now is I feel it would be a good thing for the partnership for when this podcast goes live, you should send them the timestamp of this segment of the podcast so they know that we lived up to the agreement. And I think you're the guy who played it, so you're the guy who should do that. And I'm now going to go to an ad break so you can mull over this. Thanks, Charlie. So, Jack, do you find it hard to keep up with all the news in Counter-Strike?
I do. I took a weekend off and I came back to 6 new IGLs, 3 retirements, and apparently Navi's Waterboy got picked up by a top 20 team.
Right, that's why I've been relying on the TLDR newsletter. It's a bi-weekly email that keeps you up to speed on everything in the CS scene, without needing to scroll Reddit for 3 hours while questioning your life choices.
Yeah, it's like if HLTV had a baby with your funniest friend who actually watches every game. You get quick hits of news, spicy roster moves, upcoming match schedules, and even some insider gossip. All killer, no filler.
And let's be honest, some of these tournament formats, you need a guide just to figure out who's playing who. TLDR breaks it all down, so you actually know what the hell's going on.
Plus, it's funny. Like, actually funny. It's like reading a group chat between smart CS fans who roast everything in sight, but still care deeply about the game.
So if your brain's full, but your heart still beats for Counter-Strike, do yourself a favour. Sign up for the TLDR newsletter. It's free, fast, and guaranteed to make you smarter. Or at least sound smarter in Twitch chat.
Check out the link down below and subscribe, because the only thing more tragic than missing a major upset is not even knowing it happened.
TLDR. You don't have time to read everything, but you still want to sound like you did. Alright, well, I think we should get back on track, talk about a real game, talk about Counter-Strike. EWC has happened. I'm going to preface this entire segment by saying that I did not get to watch much while I was at EWC because I wasn't working on Counter-Strike. I was working on Crossfire, which is basically just bad Counter-Strike. But it was a lot of fun. I did watch some stuff, but not much, and I didn't have any audio, so it was like, and I'm working, so it's hard to like keep in track while I'm actually doing the work. So we're not really going to go game by game or talk about every team. I'm gonna ask questions that when I look at the results, these are the questions that formulate in my mind. And Quacke's going to answer them. So Quacke, we already spoke about them a little bit earlier, and we spoke about ratings and how actually some of those might be manipulated by farming ratings. So what's your early feelings on Aurora?
Oh, I mean, in the interest of what we talked about before with BC Game, it takes time to build a team. And I think they're still in that time. They're still in that phase. There's going to be, like, it's going to be quite a bit of time, I think, before Aurora are properly good as a contending team. But right now, I'm sort of liking what I'm seeing. I think you've got a good performance out of Centaurus, and even if it is against like farmed opponents, it's not like they've played Vitality, Falcons, Spirit, even a team like Foot or Mouse, like week in, week out, or G2. So you can only play who's in front of you, and I think they've done fine. This particular game against FURIA, I think it was a very even affair, a bit strange even, the way it sort of went down. So with that in mind, I'm not sure how much to read into this game specifically, but so far I think good signs. They're still on my 7-point scale. They're still on the positive end rather than the negative. But it's not like I have them up there as a top 5 contender just yet. But I see the potential. For it.
Yeah, I mean, so earlier I said there's a piece I'm not too confident on, and I do think the Kixan IGLing still might need some Ash magic to get it there. I'm slowly selling some of my Kixan stocks. I thought Falcons was maybe a step too far too soon. But it needs to work on Aurora. Aurora is the level that he should be at after what he did with Apex and Heroic. Was it Apex? Yeah, it was, right?
Yeah.
Apex and then Heroic. Aurora is the right step up. And it's even better considering the experience he gained from Falcons. And yeah, I mean, it's still a little questionable on that front. I don't know. I feel like this 5 isn't going to make top 5. It is my inkling right now. But they might be aided by my next question for you. Na'Vi. Are Na'Vi a dead team?
No, because I think they're too stubborn to give anything up. I think no, because this is not the worst thing that has ever happened, and it's not like Na'Vi are never going to be able to recover from this. I think Legacy then also went and beat Falcons in the next game after this game, just as a spoiler. But like, Na'Vi's thing is not that they are bad, outright bad, or that. I don't even necessarily think that like their peak is behind them with this exact roster. It's just that this exact roster will always be a bit of a gatekeeper into the top 5 conversation. Na'Vi usually don't get upset like this. It's pretty rare. This is probably the first time I can remember that they've been properly upset. And honestly, time might tell that Legacy might be significantly better than we think they are now. So, I mean, who knows about that? But the thing is, they won't beat. Even if they won, they wouldn't have beaten Falcons. You know, if they had gone up against a Spirit there, they wouldn't have beaten Spirit. Definitely not a Vitality. I don't think they repeat that. So that's the problem with Na'Vi. So if they want to keep moving forward, they've got to make changes. But I don't think this game is a nail in the coffin or anything like that.
But this is my problem. This is why I've asked this question. How long have we heard rumours about a Na'Vi change, right?
So turns out they're warranted. They negotiated with players. Is what Blade said. It just didn't materialize.
Yeah, because they couldn't find the right move. I've heard about changes in Na'Vi for a long time. I heard about a lot of, like, I would say I heard more, like around the time McCarthy joined the team, I heard more then than was ever made publicly available. So I'm not going to say what I heard, but a lot, right? Like there was multiple players.
Quick time moment.
There was multiple players that could have left. Won't say who. People can figure it out quite easily. I won't say who.
I think that's also what people are saying, like speculating, is like you can reasonably cut several players on this team.
But this is the thing. This has been a thing for a long time. We're a year on from that. Those rumours have never gone away for any of those players. Some of them eventually became public. Targets have become public. Okay, you can't find the right player, but at some point, that seriously hurts the players you have. The team knows, because at this point they'll also know who they want to get rid of. Where it might have been a thing before that a Blade was deciding, are we going to make a change? Yeah, probably, because it turns out we weren't actually as good as we thought in 2024. Now they know. Like, they know 100% who Blade wants to cut. Or maybe as a team they want to cut. Right? There's a point where that hurts the team too much. This is why I'm asking if they're a dead team. Not because they're these gatekeepers of the top 5 who need to get new players to improve, right? We've seen their ceiling. Their ceiling is great, but it's not great enough. I'm not asking because of that. I'm asking because is everything else that's going on, of all the things we know they want to do, is that actually stopping them from becoming no, let me rephrase, sorry. Is that stopping them from maybe even performing to the level that we expect? Is that what's going to make them become actually a worse team, to the point where, you know, when it comes to the major, you look at it, it's like, oh, it's great Na'Vi got their invite, but I love that we've got another dead team at the major because they're absolutely making a change after it. Like, this is the thing. Are they a dead team? And is that going to affect the rest of their season? That's what I was asking you.
I don't think so, honestly. I think Na'Vi seem to be waiting for the perfect move. Because, like, when we say that it just didn't work out with the players we were negotiating with, if you needed to make a move, if you felt the need to remove one of your players and try something new, you would have found someone. It might not have been, maybe, you know, if they are dead set on signing Frozen and whoever, and if that doesn't work out, then, you know, fine. But if they really wanted to make a move, then they would have made it for someone else. So I think what they've, both as in terms of leadership and in terms of players, I think they have just sort of decided that, no, we are continuing with this roster because we don't see the value in trying out another option. So I think the players are probably set on the fact, maybe even they're playing for their second chance. Because Blade was also pretty clear that, like, we've discussed the changes we were supposed to make with the team. So if it is an Imma going out, then Imma knows that he's got to fire up his ass. And sometimes that helps a player, sometimes it doesn't. We'll see about that. But I don't think that they are playing under the assumption that changes will be made. I think they're more feeling that they're committed to the roster they have. I don't think they're looking 4 months ahead.
I don't know. I think you might change your tune in a couple tournaments, and we might agree. I don't think Na'Vi are going to have a very good season at all, actually.
Not necessarily saying that. I just don't think that, you know, them being set on changes after the season is what's going to trigger it. I think there's a chance this roster burns out because it has been that gatekeeping roster for a long time. And, you know, if you look at a team like, if we step down a level, the gatekeepers of the top 15, 3D Max, they're starting to burn out quite a bit. They're starting to, like, you know, eventually a team can only be good for so long. And you need to make changes to sort of stay relevant. And Na'Vi are starting to near that point, I think. So maybe they do decline. I just don't think that it's like the fact they're a dead team is why they're going to go down.
Maybe. But I think, you know, eventually player mental does take a toll. But on the flip side of things, FaZe, right? Now, we know their rating benefited a little bit from... Let's call it a honeymoon at Rivals, a poor field at XSE, and they've not been bad other than that. Like, you know, I'm high on FaZe. But do you think they are a top team with a true rating that reflects where they're at right now, or are they slightly inflated and we're soon to see a real FaZe as they play in more tournaments and maybe slip down a little bit?
I think when we floated the idea last week of FaZe beating Vitality in their opener, because people were like, we looked at this stacked lower end of the bracket, and people were saying that the FaZe were the dark horse. It turns out it was Legacy were the dark horse. But I think some people had pushback on this, on the fact that FaZe were supposed to be dark horses, because you looked at Twists and Frozen being a bit inflated. Yes, Twists in particular. And the fact that Jacob was the guy sort of powering them forward recently is kind of grim. And then also J-Bone stepping into playoffs. He's still just a kid, fresh into tier 1. So it looked unlikely. I think maybe what we saw in that game might be the regression, or like the true phase. This is a team that'll play a close map against Vitality but lose 2-0, and I think that's sort of where it's gonna be. I don't, as much as I think Nature's fine, as much as I think Jacob recently has been fine, and you know, things can work out. As much as I think J-Bone is great and is going to develop quite a bit, I don't think it's going to get much better than this. You know, I don't think they're gonna, in this bracket. I don't think that if you played it now, if you played it in 6 months, I don't think FaZe make it further. To be honest, I think this is the way it goes.
But you don't think it gets worse either?
Not necessarily. I mean, yes, to a degree, because they're 7th at the moment. I think that's maybe a bit too high. But in terms of like overall level, I don't think it gets significantly worse. No, I think they sort of stay where they are. I don't think they drop off massively. I don't think they like drop out of the top 15. I just think they're gonna hang around. They're gonna be a team that just hang around sort of an Astralis kind of level is sort of where I think they're gonna end up long term.
So if they wanted to grow, you still getting rid of Jacob?
Probably. Unless this is the...
assuming J-Bone signs permanently.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think... Nature's good, but it's not like his development is going to do all that much. He's not really in a position to take over the team like that. I think there has been a bit of a regret, like a bit of a step back in terms of Frozen's performance recently. Like, as much as he is really good, it is a little bit inflated from a specific couple of opponents. I don't think we're going to see Frozen and Twist stay as good as they are at the moment. But yeah. Yeah, probably it's going to have to be Jacob in the end.
Fair enough. It's kind of how I feel. I think he would have to still improve and show a level of consistency for the rest of the year that we have not yet seen from him. For me to think otherwise. So I think it's just too much of a leap in terms of him actually holding his spot on a more competitive roster. But let's move on. Legacy. Obviously, they made the semi-finals. Beat Na'Vi. Beat Falcons. Great run for them. Lost to Spirit. They were decent enough against Spirit. Are we seeing Legacy? They've won a Tier 1 competition this year. Convincingly. Are we seeing Legacy become an elite team? Are they potentially becoming the new Na'Vi, the new gatekeepers? Where realistically, I think we both would say we see them beating at this point in time most teams. They're not really going to beat Spirit, Falcons, Vitality on a consistent basis. How are you feeling about Legacy right now?
I feel like they're in there. I feel like they are in a top 10 conversation. Well, they're definitely in the top 10. They went from being in a top 10 conversation to being a top 10 team. Definitely. Because they've now beaten Falcons twice, who won the major. They've beaten Na'Vi, which is solid. And I would take Legacy to win any day of the week over a team like who might otherwise be on the fringes, like Aurora or Mongols or any of these other sort of edge teams. I would take Legacy to win. So yeah, they're up there. Can I see them winning another trophy? Yeah, I could. It's sort of like Foot. It's like they're getting there. I don't think we start to see them enter the same conversation as Vitality, Spirit, and Falcons. They might be passing Na'Vi, to be honest. You might be right on that. They might be in the same position that Aurora were for a long time.
I could see... When I like gut instinct of playstyle and results so far, I could see this season being Vitality, Falcons, Spirit, no particular order, followed by FURIA, Legacy, Foot, Mouse, followed by Aurora Phase. Like if I'm putting...
I'd put... Yeah.
And G2.
Navi G2. Navi G2 I think need to enter somewhere there. Or do you put Navi like way out?
No, I put Navi, sorry, with G2 and
yeah.
Aurora. Same with FaZe probably.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the ranking that we'll look at the end of the year.
Yeah.
That's how yeah, okay, VRS or HLTV might not reflect it because they are the way they are, but that will be how we actually look at it and be like, this is the ranking of the best teams in the world. If we were to make a tier list, this is how it comes out. I think Legacy looked great. I think Tri was such a missing piece for them. Nissim, still don't like him. Still think you can improve on Nissim. But Dumao and Lato are great, and Art is doing everything he needs to. And then, you know, with Foot as well, xCloud is brilliant. It's such a good pickup for them. Like, I don't see how these two teams don't push further than the teams that I've mentioned under them. Because I think all those teams have caveats, and I don't think right now, okay, yes, I said Nissim, but I do think Nissim is fine. He's just the one that you'd want to replace if you were going to replace anyone. I think Foot and Legacy are in great positions. They're constantly getting new experiences, which is really important. To me, they're both in great spots. They're both in really good spots to be the teams that become that top 5 gatekeeper for the rest of the year. Yeah. And probably because of how I feel about other teams, are probably teams that will maintain and hold top 5 spots as well.
Yeah. I'm positive on them. I think it's a stretch to say that they're gonna like the trophies they win are gonna have to be a little bit cheesed. It's gonna have to be like
of course.
You know, Vitality skipped Beijing, and it's gonna have to be like they didn't face Falcons and then they won the trophy. If we suppose that they win that event, but they'll be that sort of gatekeeper. I would be disappointed if Legacy don't make playoffs in at least 50% of the events they play for the rest of the season. I'll say that. That's my bar. How they do there, it's here and there, depends on matchups. But like, I want them to go past the group stage. Yeah.
And the big one is both of them need to be in the major playoffs at the end of the year, and not make me sweat them getting there either. But let's move on. The next one on my list is the Vitality era over.
Yes.
Do they
the second Vitality era. No, okay. So no, this is quite a big trough, and I talked about this last week as well, because if to a slight degree, I am projecting how I think the rest of their season is going to go. When I say this, but I think Vitality might be, specifically because of what plans they have for the rest of the year, with they're skipping like 2 out of the 4 events they have lined up, and potentially more. I think there was a risk that one more of them is going to be affected. They're going to have JL. For one of them, they're going to miss their caller. It's going to be back and forth, and you forget about the fact that this is not just, you know, that specific event they're affected. It also affects their practice. They're going straight into Blast Open Porto, like very shortly. And if they've had, and that's one of the ones where they have JL, obviously, where Mezzi's missing. They were playing in Esports World Cup. Have they had any practice with JL? I'm not sure. If they do, like over the course of the event, they're also going to be like thinking about the next event, and Messi's going to be gone. You can't practice with 4 players. And if you're practicing with a stand-in, you're missing. Their entire season is going to be affected by these things. So I sort of felt that, like, if I was going to keep believing in Vitality, they had to perform at the Esports World Cup. And I was already slightly down on them last week after they had taken the loss to Bait and, you know, looked a bit grim. But now they have also lost to Spirit, who some people have been counting out quite heavily recently, despite the fact that they have Donk. You can never count them out. It doesn't matter how shit Shiro, Zontix, Magix, and Tenier play, because when you have Donk, there's always a chance. Like, it doesn't matter what their 3-month averages are. But yeah, the second thing is that I just think that, again, we have to do these things where we read into interviews, we read into small things quite a bit. But when I think back to like how the Vitality players and them reacted to losing the first time they lost in playoffs, which was when they lost to Navi in one of these American events they played, it was very much like, we didn't practice. We're here on holiday and just played a couple of events in between. We're still gearing up for the major, etc. All this. Sort of blasé about having lost the first playoff game in however long it was. And then they go to the major, they lose to Falcons. And obviously the major is a bigger stage and it's a heated moment and all. But I felt that like, no, okay, you really didn't expect this. And this actually kind of got to you when like Apex was talking in one of the post-games interviews and stuff. And that was a different attitude. And I think I felt the same way reading what Extas had to say after the bait loss, where it wasn't this sort of blasé, like we take every game as it comes. We lose a game, it's fine, we move on. We always think about the next game. It's always the next step. He was sort of like, no, like this is unacceptable. This is no excuses. This is actually like a bit of a crisis. That's the vibe I got. So with those two things in mind, right, I feel like they think the era is over. And even if they don't, the way they've planned out the season makes it almost impossible for them to stay on top. So I think they'll stay in the strata. They'll stay in the conversation because they're just that good. But just there. I think it's over. Okay.
I want to ask you a couple questions.
Yeah.
Do you believe they'll remain an elite team?
Yes, I think they stay in
like
the top 5.
My assessment. No, okay. My assessment of Falcons, Spirit, Vitality, top 3 teams.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? Okay. Do you agree that of those 3 teams, they are the most well-rounded / well-built, whatever phrase you want to use?
Yes, but you are diluting that when you're putting JL in for 2 different players during the season.
Ignore that. I'm talking their main roster. Ignore that.
Yes, I think so, yeah.
Okay. If they win Singapore and one of... Just looking at dates here. So Blast Rivals Season 2 is before Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care for Blast Bounty after Singapore. Who does, right? But there's a PGL Bucharest and obviously IEM Krakow. If they win the major in one of those, did the Vitality era ever die?
Yes, it did. This is just way too big a trough. And
did it die last year?
At the time I was making...
Second half of the year, did it die?
At the time I was making the case. I think now I would slightly reconsider, but this is just way too much. Like this is... the way I define an era is like a period of time where their play and their dominance define the era. It's something you cannot move away from talking about. And at this point, I think that their dominance is just a bit gone. If they start again, that's gonna have to be a different thing. Because now we have several teams who are surpassing them, several teams who beat them. Yeah, I do think it'll have to be a different conversation.
Because for me, if a team wins 3 out of 4 majors across a 2-year period, and then effectively wins 3 Krakowicas in a row, their era never died. You can have that trough. You are the best,
too high a level of
the best, most dominant
abstraction.
team. You're the best, most dominant team that handles the biggest events the best.
I think that's too
I don't
high
think the Vitality. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I think I even went to a higher level. I don't think I would say the Vitality era is dead unless they don't win Singapore. I think if they win Singapore...
When did the Astralis era end?
When did I stop watching?
Because I would say that it ended before the Berlin Major. I don't include that. Even if it's 3 in a row, I don't include that. Because that was distinctly Liquid became the best team in the world. and albeit short,
The
I
Liquid
wouldn't
players
call
will
it an
tell you
era.
otherwise.
I
The
wouldn't
Liquid
call
players
it an
will tell you
era,
otherwise.
but Astralis were so far out of the conversation for several months before they won Berlin. The fact that
Why
they
were
won
they?
Berlin,
But why were they?
partially they didn't play that much. Secondly, they lost a lot when they played. They didn't win. As far as I remember, they didn't win anything between like May and October when they won Berlin.
There is something, if I remember right, in Liquid's Grand Slam run, which actually extends to other tournaments as well, because they won like a Blast tournament or something. They won a couple of non-Grand Slam events. So I think they won 6 events in a row, something like that. Astralis played 2,
In a row. if
I remember right, off the top of my head.
Yes,
Astralis played
that's
2
part of the reason why I'll say Liquid didn't take over. Like they didn't end the era by having their own. People say the Liquid era.
in that
First
run,
of all, fucking
that run, including Berlin,
yeah.
Astralis and Liquid played twice.
Yeah,
Liquid
this
beat
is what
them
I'll say.
once,
Like
which was the first
Liquid
tournament
didn't.
of all of them, and then they lost in Berlin. So I don't think it's fair to say the Astralis era ended before Berlin, and I don't think a single Liquid player would say that. I think they would tell you that maybe they had a mini era within the era, but I don't think it ended. Astralis was still the best team.
No. Liquid did not have an era. That's what I'm saying. And part of the reason is because they didn't like significantly clear the Astralis bar. I think Astralis dipped hard enough where they were no longer like the defining team of that period, of that time period. I think at this point we had Counter-Strike. Even if it is because they didn't play, like you can't just not show up for a season and think that your dominance continued. That's like the
Okay. Let's move this into footballing terms, because footballing terms they use like a season is longer, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
How many more Premier Leagues would Arsenal have to win for you to say we're in the Arsenal era?
I'm not that well versed in this.
Well, they've won.
I think it's slightly unfair
because Man City have won what, 7 out of the 10 before that.
To me, what defines it is that it's not necessarily about the number of wins. It's not like a numerical metric. It is a cultural metric, like what defines this time period in terms of how we remember it, how we talk about it. We talked about NIP quite a bit during their era because they were unprecedentedly dominant. Fnatic were as well during their best period. And so were Astralis during their best period. But I think in 2019, the fact that it was a legitimate conversation that Astralis were no longer as good as they were during their peak, that Astralis had this and this issue, that Astralis had this and this. That's enough to do it. Because some people will claim that Astralis had an era 2018 to 2020. And then they'll claim that Navi had an era with when Simple won his major and everything. I think that's way too much. I think it's all about it's a very fuzzy thing. But it's fuzzy for a reason, because we're talking about what defines the conversation.
But my point
today, Vitality don't define the conversation. That's my point. Vitality do not define.
But my point really
the present day conversation
is if they win, because this is the thing. This is a stupid thing about everything. It's a stupid thing about tier 1, where it's the stupid thing. Like, no one has a set tier 1 definition. Very few people can even define how they view teams properly. Of like, realistically, you should do it. The numerical system for tier 1 is stupid. It should be an alphabetical system where the tier 1 teams are probably B tier and above, maybe C tier and above, because it's like Bait, right? Bait will be at most tier 1 events, therefore they are a tier 1 team. But there's a huge gap between Bait and Spirit. That's who they played, so that works, right? Vitality right now are struggling. They are in a slump. If they win the major, add in Krakow, add in Bucharest, add in Rivals, add in whatever fucking tournament you want, right? They will suddenly become the defining team again, because that is what people are fucking like. That will be the conversation. So I don't think defining an era around conversation is maybe the right thing to do. And I think saying that a few tournaments, dry spell, bad spell, they are playing bad right now, amongst 2 pretty unprecedented years, even by Astralis standards, because Astralis, like, didn't come close to what Vitality have done over the last 18 to 20 months or whatever it is. I think saying it is entirely over is quite reactionary. I don't think the Vitality era can be over until Singapore is done and dusted.
We'll never know until at some point, like in the future. It's hard to know in the present moment. But I think at this point I draw the line, because when if we're drawing a timeline, even if they win Singapore, which is in 4 months, even if they win Singapore, you're drawing a timeline of Counter-Strike history. Why would you connect these two lines? If somebody came in 5 years and asked you, what was Counter-Strike about in September of 2026? And Vitality have won nothing for, at that point, it'll be 4 months. And, you know, with the knowledge in 5 years, you know that, yeah, they didn't win anything in that period. You would not say Vitality. You would say Donk is the best player. You would say Falcons are the reigning major champions. And you would say Vitality have a near 50% win rate in their past 16 games. That's what you would say.
It's the time that benevolent gods Vitality decided to have children and let everyone else have something for a few months. That's what you do. Look, that is what you do. That is exactly how you'd. Why did the Astralis era die? Well, because Device couldn't stop shitting his pants. Right? That's how people talk about that. Is the reason that Astralis died is two reasons. Device couldn't stop shitting his pants, so Liquid, who were by far the second best team in the world, both below and above them, got to have fun, and then it turned out the organisation were a bunch of cunts. That is how Astralis died. If Vitality, you know, they squeeze their sprogs out and come back playing like Vitality again, in a few years' time, that is how people will talk about it. They will not talk about it as Donk was the best player in the world, Falcons were the reigning major champions, and Vitality had a 50% win rate, because no one will care. All they'll view it as, people got to win tournaments because Vitality had life. And then they came back and were Vitality. This is my point. I don't think the Vitality era can be over until they aren't winning stuff when they're at full pelt, because they aren't going to be at full pelt.
But then how long do you stretch that? Because if you, I think most people would probably say that
Singapore.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Singapore, because at that point
I just think it's too far.
Because to me, at that point, there's no excuse. Apex will have been back. Mezzi will have been back. They'll have had all the time that they typically have to practice for a major, and they will have done that. So at that point, if they can't remind the world, tell the world again why they are Vitality, why they are the best team of all time, then their era is over, and we go into the more competitive era that we've all kind of been wanting, right? Apart from me, because God save the king. Like, that to me is the point where it's actually over. Otherwise, it's just, the gods of Counter-Strike let everyone else have fun for a bit.
Yeah.
I think that kind of just is it. I think that's what happened with Liquid. They were the benefactors of it because no one else was good enough to be the benefactor. Like, and then Astralis came back, did their thing, won the major, saw out the year as pretty much the best team for the most part in large parts of it, or maybe dropped off a bit still because the organisation, fucking awful people. And then we go into COVID and who knows, right? That's the real thing that killed the Astralis era. It is COVID, because that broke Counter-Strike for years. I mean, look at the fucking dross we came out of it with. Yeah, okay, we had a great Na'Vi team, but we also had a Heroic and a fucking Cloud9 team that would, like, limp dick shit their pants every time they had to play in front of more than 1,000 people. Like, it broke Counter-Strike. And since then, no one's done what Vitality has done. Na'Vi lasted all of, 6 months with LANs. FaZe lasted all of 6 months with LANs. Spirit, people talk about... I'll use this to segue to Spirit, right? That's what I'm going to do. Because I think we've been talking about Vitality for a while, and I think we're getting circular. So I'll use this to talk about Spirit. Spirit win this event. Now, for 2 months on this podcast, we've been saying Spirit shit. They need to sort out the coaching issue. And you'll notice now, that won't be a thing that gets spoken about anywhere else this week. Last week you see podcasts. People are finally doing the podcast of, do Spirit need to get rid of Hally? Which I've been saying for fucking over a year at this point. Give or take. Right? But they'll win an event, and all those conversations will go away again because they've won an event. But in the next event, we'll remember why we had those conversations in the first place. Because yes, you can never rule out Spirit with Dunk. If you do that, you are an idiot. But it's also the biggest reason as to why Spirit and their trophy cabinet is actually fucking egregious. Oh, but they've won the big three. Great. What else have they fucking won? I think Charlie put it in a tweet. Charlie, bring it up if you did. Has it been a year? Or something like that since they won a trophy with Hally? Was that what your tweet said? Yeah, it said the news that haven't won a trophy in a year with Hally. They have Donk, bro. That is fucking unacceptable. Like, but the fact that they have Donk means I give them the fucking grace of putting them in that fucking top 3 category. So, this is what I mean with reactionary takes, right? Everyone now will be like, no, they are great. They're great even with Hally.
Oh, no,
fuck
no,
that.
no.
They're riddled with problems, and Hally is one of them. And when they're shit for the rest of the season, when they don't win the major, when in... What are the dates? It ends in February. When in February they don't win Krakow, when in fucking August next year, is it? When's it moved to when it's not a major? August, whatever, they don't win Cologne. And everyone will say, yeah, but they've won them all before. What else do they fucking win? What else do they win? This is my issue with Spirit. It's great they won this event. I'm glad that Donk has another trophy. I truly am. But all it really will be is a setback for Spirit in the long run. Because it's another reason to not make the changes that need to be made. How do you feel about that, Quack?
I don't think Spirit are good. I think in the end, the era conversation is the point of semantics, which has come up in many episodes of Retake the Week, as Vitality have slowly waned from dominance. And I can tell you, each of those episodes is 3 hours long for a reason. I see your point. I don't agree. Let's not make this a 3-hour episode. I'm doing Retake the Week in 35 minutes, by the way. Anyway, yeah, brilliant. I think this Spirit is still just bad. It's just the fact that Donkey is the best player in the world at the moment. Potentially the best player. Potentially the best player of all time.
He is the best player to ever play Counter-Strike. He's not the greatest, but he is the best.
He's starting to get closer.
No, definitely.
Yeah. So, like, you can never count him out for that. And maybe this tournament is a bit of a blessing, or is a bit of a blessing and a curse, because this buys another couple of months on each of their contracts.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
that's the issue. It protects Hally. It protects Zontics. Like, I think it sucks for Spirit. I think they needed to not win an event for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and like fucking the double euphoria of also having won the international on the same weekend. Right now, Spirit feel like they are the best team to ever play esports, to ever compete whatsoever.
They make, including EWC prize money for the club championship, something like 4 million in a day.
Yeah, nobody in the Spirit management is going to look at this.
3.5, okay.
Yeah, nobody in the Spirit management is going to look at any part of their esports operations right now and say we have problems. Which is the problem. Yeah. Fucking yeah. Hally needs to go. Zontics needs to go. Magix needs. He could stay. I kind of like Magix so far this year. I think that's maybe one of the things that
I'm kind of sold on Magix as an IGL. Honestly,
I think that's one of the things that people have mostly been wrong about this year. I think in terms of predictions, is that a lot of people thought Magix was going to be ass.
I was wrong on that. I would like to see Magix IGL, for a full season without Hally being involved. Let me see what they do for 6 months when everything they prepped at the start of that 6 months is gone 3 months in, and they have to prep more shit. Let me see that. I want to see that, because then I can say Magix is a good IGL. Then I can say they've refreshed it, because that was the thing with Brolan. Mouse never really refreshed much of their playbook. They were actually playing a lot of the same shit all the time, and you can visibly see that if you pay close enough attention. So, I like Magix, and I think Tanier, when Tanier gets to do the Tanier thing, he's fucking great. I think Tanier should be looked at as a top 10 rifler. For whatever reason, he's not looked at that way, because Spirit, well, the reason is that Spirit don't take him seriously because they love Zontics for whatever reason, even though he's dog shit. I think Shiro's great.
Enough.
I've always been a serious Shiro hater. Because I always thought it was funny, because Harry was like, yeah, he's the device regen, and I was like, well, no one can take my boy's crown, so fuck Shiro. Shiro's a pussy bitch. That was always just my thing, right? But he's good. He's good. I can't deny that he's good, right? Donk is the best player I've ever seen. Spirit, and this is the thing. This is why I wanted to move to Spirit as sort of a go-between last point and this point. You can say all this about Vitality, but when you then say Spirit are a bad team, and we put them in that same category, largely because of Donk, this is where I say, okay, if we think Falcons also don't have the same level of consistency because of how they're built and certain other things or whatever, which maybe you wouldn't say. I would say I don't think they have it in them to be truly consistent. Well then,
no.
I don't see why Vitality don't come back and become Vitality again. This was my point, is Falcons and Spirit are what make me think Vitality's era is not done. There's a lot going for Vitality as well. Their team's built incredibly well, right? But I don't think either of those teams has it in them to make it so in 3 or 4 years' time, when you're looking back, because it's a long time in Counter-Strike, a lot of people have forgot what Counter-Strike was like 3-4 years ago, for the answer to not just be it was still the Vitality era.
I don't think it's the reason is because I think it's all about, it's fuzzy, like I said. It's about how they do it, not what they do.
Okay, no, but here's the different thing, Quack.
Yeah.
Here's my also line of thinking with this, right? You and I are not regular Counter-Strike people. Our full-time jobs are Counter-Strike. We are journalists.
Yeah.
We are people who care about the history of the game. We are people whose job it is to tell the story of the game, and we will always tell it in our most truthful way, right?
Mm-hmm.
There'll be bias in there. It's our truth, but we will reflect what happened, even if we'll say that Navi's win at whichever one they won without Vitality there was Mickey Mouse, right? Because Vitality weren't there and they couldn't beat Vitality at that point. But as much as we can do, as much as we will ever be able to do, and this is true even for everyone at HLTV too, none of us can control the narrative enough of the plebs. And the plebs don't care for that. The plebs barely care for why Cloud9's major run is one of the greatest runs of all time. Because to them it's, well, that G2 French team was never actually that good. To them it's, I think they were already MIBR at the time, well, they never really achieved much, or they were just about to go to MIBR and they never achieved much there. Oh, but FaZe were the chokers. History is misrepresented by everyone. So whether you like it or I like it or not, if Vitality go back to winning ways, their era continues. And that is just that is the fucking truth of it. SK didn't have correct lineup. Thank you. That was it, Charlie. I knew there was something. Like that is just the thing. So to move on from that though, because otherwise, you're going to be late for retake the week, and that would be bad. And King T does not deserve that because he has King in his name. Which is crazy. I know. Falcons.
Yeah.
I brought them up then. Are they one-hit wonders?
They don't have to be. That's the thing. I think Falcons, the way this Falcons team works exactly the same as the good Hooksy-led G2 lineup did in 2023 when they were winning 2023 and 22 and 23. That's what I mean. When they won last World Finals or whatever it was, when they won Katowice, when they won Cologne. The peaks are great because they have to be. For the same reason Spirit are a contender because of Donk, that team was a contender because they had Nico and Monesi. When you have players like that, you just have to be. You have Nico, Monesi, and Kyusuke. Their peaks are great, but it's unbalanced in a way. The same way, it swings very much upward. It swings upward so far you win a major. You're gonna have troughs, and the mean is still gonna stay not at an average level, but it's not gonna be like definitely the best over a period of time. That's the problem. And I think these are a couple of those swings downwards. These are a couple like how much game by game consistency can you really have when I think your team composition is slightly weird when you have.
I think it's very weird
when you have players probably wanting to take more space than they should, and they take more space. When you have problems like this, when you have problems like Tesses probably shouldn't be the player that he is at the moment.
No, he shouldn't.
Oh, that's the thing. When you have these problems, you're gonna swing down a lot as well. Your mean might still be very good. I don't think it's ever gonna be the best. It's never gonna be the best. But your peaks are gonna be good, and you might peak at the right time. Hooksy peaked in Katowice and Cologne with a couple of these same players. He also completely fucked the Paris Major, or not he. Some would say he. The team completely fucked the Paris Major. This same team.
Another misrepresentation of history, by the way. Sorry to cut you off. Nico choking.
Mm-hmm.
Nico choking. Another misrepresentation of history. That Deagle shot, he choked. He was the best player on G2 in that game. He wasn't even that bad in the Boston final. But he wasn't great on map 3. So he choked. Paris Major, he was bad on the final map. Before that, he was pretty great. It was the same with Austin. History is never represented correctly. Sorry, carry on.
Oh yeah, but anyway, my point is like highs and lows. And also that same team with that exact roster, I think it was, just before winning Cologne, you had them missing the Rio Major entirely, I think, after completely fucking the RMR against one win and some other cunts. Anyway, the same way this Falcons team, when it swings up, when they have momentum, they win the major. They win the major, and they do it by beating both Vitality and Spirit. They beat both Zaibu and Donk in a major. When it swings down, that's when you lose grand finals to Legacy. That's when you lose online games to 100 Thieves. That's when you lose some proper bad games. That's when you lose to Legacy again in the EWC playoffs. It's just gonna happen. I'm not saying they're one-hit wonders. This is not a Cloud9-esque run. It might end up being the only kind of run like that they have, depending on how it goes. I don't know what sort of decisions they make, what roster moves they make. But I do think this is not the case of like a random fluke. It's more so that we expect this. And their next run like this might come at ESL Pro League. It might come in Singapore. It might come in Quacke, or it might not come at all. Like, who knows how the rest of the time in this team goes. But yeah, bottom line, it's not a fluke. Okay. It's just, this is how the team works.
So now I've got you to reason these things.
Yep.
Right. And we'll also add in, I'll also add in just this piece of context, I think, of how FURIA were at the end of the last year and how conversation shifted about FURIA and how it very quickly shifted back to Vitality. You've given your Spirit reasons, you've given your Falcons reasons. So tell me, do you think the Vitality era is really over? If they come back and win stuff, did it even ever... But if you think it now, was it even ever really over? Because I don't see it, man. I don't see in 3-4 years' time that anyone will think the Vitality era died. Personally,
it's not about what they win; it's how they do it. That's the bottom line of it. I don't think Astralis never had a win streak anywhere close to what Vitality had, or even Liquid had,
well,
in their little brief period. Yeah, they had like the nuke streak, which was insane, but like they lost games, they lost tournaments. And what people will instead point to is like, oh, but they never lost. It was like over a year between the times they lost 2 events in a row or something like that. That's still like, my point is that like you'll have dips, you'll have games that go wrong. The point is that like that period of time with Astralis is defined by the fact that Astralis played so much better Counter-Strike than everybody else. They were so far ahead of the field. It's the same thing with NIP's era in 2012 and mostly 2012, but 2013 as well. they were so far ahead of everybody else gameplay wise that it doesn't even like, it's not about the fact that they won this much. The 87-0 is nice, but like NIP were dominant on the server no matter how the actual events went.
Okay, sorry.
But like your point here is that like, how can Vitality not come back and win? The thing is like, if the other teams are just bad, that's not the same. That's not the same as what they've been doing.
But let me cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
Did Vitality ever win like that in the way Astralis did? Astralis were fucking dominant. I don't think Vitality ever worked. Maybe against Mouse, right? Maybe against Mouse there was that really fucking stinky. Was Lisbon the good one, and it was Pro League that was like 13-4 for 3 maps, just bang them out on everyone. And then I think Lisbon was the good full best of 5, if I remember right. But Vitality, and actually you can open up page fucking 8 of the magazine and read this. This is something Thorin says. Vitality appeal to the same romance of Counter-Strike that Karrigan does. It's what makes them so revered, is that actually their games are fucking banger. They're fucking back and forth. There's comebacks a lot of times from Vitality. I mean, remember the time we thought their streak was dead? Because they were what? Like 12-5 down against Falcons on map 5?
Yeah.
I think Vitality were just, I don't think they were ever like, this is going to sound stupid. They were dominant because they were very good at a lot of things. They weren't dominant because they were dominant. They weren't dominant because they reinvented Counter-Strike. Which is what Astralis did. This is the two things. This is the caveats you can always give to most eras. Nip's era, half the people didn't want to play fucking CSGO and half of them were fucking plumbers. Right? They like Nip, they just capitalised on a moment. Astralis era, everyone had to play a degree of catch-up. They taught themselves, like, they all had to relearn to play the game that Astralis had now invented. And it's a lot easier to do that when you're Astralis. Because you're the guy who's employing your school of thought that everyone else now has to figure out and learn. Vitality were just fucking good at a lot of things, and they built a team that had better role balance and more consistent players than everyone else, and that was what got them through. It wasn't that they were purely just dominant, because they weren't. Yet the scores may reflect that. In the history books, it may reflect that. When you look back at the win streaks, that's what may reflect. But the real context is that they just did things better than other teams. You didn't look at the Vitality team and think, oh, fucking, I'd love to cut him. Like we do with Spirit, or like with Falcons, where we think, oh, I could improve on Tesses. I don't really think he should be doing that. Or maybe I would just like Nico to IGL and become that. Or Spirit with Zontix, right? You can't do that with Vitality, and you still wouldn't do that with Vitality, and you wouldn't do that with Vitality in January. That's the difference with Vitality. They were never actually that dominant.
I think what you've just highlighted is what I was about to say, because I think Vitality's strength, Vitality defined the time period. What defined Vitality? The mental fortitude to constantly come back, to make these comebacks, to be down so much and constantly come back. That's the thing that made them win. And it extends further. If they lost a single game, ending their win streak, whatever, when they lost the legacy game in Austin or something, they instantly come back. They don't lose a single fucking thing after that. It keeps going. They take the dips, whether it's in the moment, over the course of minutes, or over the course of a day, and they came back, right? That's what I think defined it. In the same way, Astralis defined their era by reinventing the game, reinventing their team composition, their roles, their utility usage. And I think NIP defined their era by literally just being ahead of the curve, by taking the leap that the others wouldn't want to take. They're not necessarily defined by the same thing. Their dominance. It doesn't necessarily have to be exactly alike. It's just something. This team defined a time period for some reason, and Vitality did it by just being clutch as fuck. That's what I think defines their era. That's what I think defines them as a team and defines them as an era, and that's what makes their games, like you said, like a Karrigan game, fun. That's what makes it exciting. Do
you know what
I think they've lost that edge, though. I think at this point they've dipped enough where that mental fortitude is not there.
Here's the thing. Do you know what the actual fun similarity between Astralis and Vitality is? It's something that's actually no one outside the team, even in the recent interviews he's done, will ever be able to point the finger at. What was the other thing Astralis revolutionised? It was their look outside the server, right? It was the performance coaches and the way they looked after themselves and the way they did things.
Yeah.
Vitality have also been great at that. They've looked after their schedule better than anyone. They look after themselves.
That's true.
Incredibly well. They have an elite performance coach. They really do. Like Jack Burstwhistle, is that his last name?
His name is Jack. That's all I know. Yeah.
You hear the guy talk. He's great. Like you hear fucking mind body baldy talking. You're like, you're a fucking bellend, mate. You make me think that sports psychology is a pseudoscience. You prick. Fuck off. Mm-hmm. This guy's great. Like he gets it. So if that's then also a part of, if that is the defining part of their era, well, if they can come back from this trough, if they can come back from two of them going away and having kids, and then go and win the major, I'd actually say that only defines their era more. Honestly, if that's the definition we're using, I would say
might be the case.
That defines their era more. That's the most impressive thing of all of it. That they went away, they had this hard period, and then they had these amazing things in your life that would be completely understandable. You know, Apex is 30 fucking whatever. Mezzi, I think me and Mezzi are the same age. I think he's 27 as well. He's having his second kid. Apex is having his first. You have these amazing things that could throw you off your game. That your head can rightly be in a different place. And, you know, a couple of the players, like Zyra and Rops, man, they could be gutted that effectively their season is ruined by these two wonderful moments in their teammates' lives. And that would actually be kind of fair. So if they can come back from that, win another major, I think that's the most defining thing about their era. Personally.
You've got a point, but that's also the kind of thing that we won't see until 2028 is probably when we can confidently have that conversation. So it's hard. I know that I'm sort of going out on a limb here saying, like, trying to make these calls now. But
that's the fun of the podcast. That's the fun of the podcast.
That is the fun of the podcast. Yeah,
and,
that is
do
the
you know
fun.
what? I will say I've enjoyed this back and forth. This has been good. This is good content that no one will watch because.
But you do have a point. I would like to say you have a point. You have a point. You have a point with all that. So I'll just say that. Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll
okay,
see.
I have one final question for you, and then we're out.
Yep.
Fallen. Is he going to win another trophy?
Yeah. With how the schedule is splintered now, with the breaks that Vitality are taking and the sort of compromised events, I think there will be one more. It won't be all that significant, but it will happen.
Here's my thing. If you ask me right now who's going to win Singapore, I'll tell you Vitality. If you ask me one thing, if you then say Vitality don't win it, who wins it? It's FURIA. I think it's the only tournament.
Come on.
I think it's the only tournament, genuinely, I'm being serious. I think it's the only tournament they'll even look like winning all year. But not all year, like the remainder of the year, because obviously they look like they could win Cologne. I don't think they'll win a tournament. Unless they're at some complete shit joke of a fucking tournament where it's like, all right, they won it, but fucking hell. I think
that's kind of what I mean. I think they will.
Yeah, but you're going to get a Spirit or a Falcons or someone like that at one of these tournaments. And I don't think they win them. I think the only one they'll win. Like, oh, fucking hell. If they win this don't count. This doesn't count. Fisher Playground 3.
It's $1 million.
Yeah, it don't fucking count, mate. I know what we said about Legacy and Foot earlier. But if the three best teams are Foot, FURIA and Legacy, it don't fucking count, mate. Because FURIA should win that. Foot and Legacy should be the gatekeepers for fucking below FURIA. And FURIA should fucking wipe the floor with them. And that don't count. And if they don't win that...
I would count it.
I wouldn't fucking count it. And if they don't win that, let me fucking tell you. It's definitely what I'm saying about the major.
Star Ladder, Star Series Fall. Vitality, Mouse, and Navi are attending. Every chance that FURIA don't even play Vitality and still win. You'd count it. If they beat Vitality, you'd obviously count it. But like, let's say they don't play Vitality. They play Mouse and Navi in the playoffs and they win. One of those two probably would have had to knock out Vitality for this to happen, by the way. Yeah.
I want to see the arena. I think for me to count this, it's an 8-team event. You got to remember, it's an 8-team event. No. Okay, let me rephrase. A trophy that we actually give a fuck about, right? Do you give a fuck about Fisher Playground fucking 6-7?
Lions are there. Obviously, I give a fuck.
Oh, fuck you, Fragbite. But, like, do you really care about Star Series fucking... I believe it's in Barcelona or some bollocks like that. I don't know.
They haven't. I don't think they've announced. I don't think they've announced the city even, or even the country.
Yeah, I think it's Barcelona, mate. I think I've just leaked
They've said it's Schengen, but yeah, fair. That's where they put all the stake ranked. I kind of would have guessed anyway.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's Barcelona. But if that's a studio event, motherfucker, not a fucking chance. Not a fucking... Get the fuck out of here. I want to see Fallen win something like... It don't count unless it's Porto, the best attended PGL event that's actually in a fucking arena. Which is what? Budapest, did you say?
Hang on. Masters Bucharest is a studio, right? That's the one they do in
Bucharest is studio. That don't fucking count. Fuck that shit.
No, but they also do PGL Bucharest, which is different. They do Masters Bucharest and then they do Bucharest.
Is that the distinction?
Right? Last year it was. Because that's the one Aurora won. That's the one Aurora won.
Here we go.
There is
Pro
no more
League
PGL
counts.
event. Yeah.
Pro League counts.
That's
Beijing
gonna be
counts.
Spodek, yeah.
Porto counts. The major counts.
That's all they have. That is Rivals. Is that a big arena in Hong Kong?
8-team, man. 8-team. Fuck that. We're not counting an 8-team.
$1 million.
Fucking nonsense.
$1 million and probably everybody attends.
If everybody attends and they have a decent
Vitality
run,
probably will.
Sure. We can count it. But I don't think they do. I don't think they win any of these that I'd actually consider worthy. Because Fisher can go fuck itself. Star Ladder can go fuck itself. And a studio event can go fuck itself. Unless, I think they'll get to it. And I think the major will be the last chance.
I'm pretty sure that last year PGL Masters Bucharest was a studio event where Aurora won. And yeah, it's PGL Studio. Yeah.
Fuck that.
That's fucking wank, by the way. Their studio event is called the Masters. And then the other one, which they also just say is PGL Bucharest. Just remove the Masters. And that's in
Yeah.
No, that's also studio. Everything but fucking hell.
Why is it called Masters then? What's the decided is it prize pool? Bet it's prize pool.
Originally I think it's that one of these was supposed to be in Argentina. And or in Belgrade or both.
No, that was
and then
the
they just
thing
moved them all
year,
to Bucharest.
Wasn't that last year?
Yeah, but then they just continued it. Then they just did it again.
Right.
They just did it again. I'm pretty sure the PGL Buenos Aires, I'm pretty sure, has been moved twice to Bucharest.
Fucking load of bollocks. Right, okay. I do realise there is one other thing I have to I wanted to ask you. Because we spoke about Foot a little earlier. We said how we feel about them. They look great. X-File great. Demon, Jugs, Krabeni, Coolio great. All of them great. Cemetery. Stick or twist. Not a euphemism.
He's fine for now. They won. X-Flada has been an upgrade already. The team is still better as a whole. And also, who would you get, to be honest? Sun Pies is out there. I'm not sure I like Sun Pies enough to
I don't like Sun Pies as an upgrade. I agree. Don't like that.
I'm just like, it would be an upgrade. It's just, you're moving from 0.96 to 1.02. I don't think that's worth destabilizing the team in a way a roster change does.
Especially when this is the thing people forget when they do this. There's a lot of unique stuff Cemetery does that not many other AWPers do on their teams. He's utilised in a very different way. I'm not high on Cemetery. I'm also not as low on him as other people are. And I said to Charlie, we were talking about it, I'd quite like to see Cemetery's Kersey arc. I wonder what he'd be like as a rifler, honestly.
I think he's a fine rifler. Yeah.
I think he'd probably be a better player. But what I was going to say, for me, there's only two AWPers I'd look to get instead of Cemetery, apart from like the obvious ones that feel fucking unattainable. And maybe this would be free at the end of the year. Maybe Martinez at the end of the year makes me think, oh, he could be viable. Other than that, Grix and J-Bone. The two AWPers contracted to Big.
Yeah.
Then I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. Let's see what that's like. Other than that, keep Cemetery in my eyes.
Yeah,
I was going to say.
Do you think Foot will be able to like when the loan to FaZe runs out in December? Do you think Foot will be in a position? Foot will probably be in a position where they're higher ranked than FaZe, but like financially, do you think they'd be able to like snatch him from there?
I don't know what their finances are like, man. Like, I know they're a VCT team, or they were a VCT team. I know they come from FIFA, but I don't know. Are they still VCT? Like, I don't know where they come from in terms of...
Yeah, you're right.
Like they are a Turkish org, which to me, it doesn't bode well for the idea of them having big finances. So I don't know. They are a VCT team. They have a chance to qualify for champs. They play Carmine Core in a few days. Like, you'd like to hope they could, right? But I think Valve will be the deciding factor in that, if I'm being honest. Because I think the sticker situation is going to have to be very different for Singapore, or we might see roster manias be a bit less exciting for a while. And I think it's teams like Foot that will be affected most by that, because the sticker earnings from Cologne should have been probably the second best of all time, because Paris was so high and the sticker earnings were abysmal because the new sticker system did not work. It was very poorly thought through. It was really bad and has been really bad for Counter-Strike.
It was the major of all time. Like, it was the major. And we got probably the worst sticker earnings. Like, I was going to guesstimate probably since like the mid 2010s.
Yeah, probably, yeah. But hey, at least AGAL won the club championship. EWC is great for esports, so maybe we see some of that in Counter-Strike. And to anyone who's still here, who's now calling me a Saudi shill again, go fuck yourselves. Because the club championship and EWC is great for esports, and without it, esports probably collapses tomorrow. And you're all
if you're here, if you're still here and calling Sam a fucking Saudi shill, then what the fuck are you doing? If you've listened to 2 hours,
if you are still here,
change your ways.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Quacke, I don't like everything about you, right? I think you're great, but then I remember you're Swedish, and I'm like, eh. So, like, you know, maybe these people, they like us, but then they think I'm a Saudi shill, and they're like, eh. So...
Yeah. I do have people on Retake the Week who evidently watch every single week because they always leave a comment about something I said about an hour and a half into the episode. Honestly, man, like, I appreciate the watch time, but can you fuck off?
You know what that means? You know what that leads to? It's another segue.
Mm-hmm.
You know what we should do? Fuck off.
I played the game for an hour, and like there was like a trailer that played when I booted the game, which implied that there was some sort of danger to hunting the deer. But I played the game for an hour and I never encountered anything other than scary sound effects.
Do those like zombie things not attack you?
Oh no, they didn't even attack me during the raids. They literally just attacked the store, like set fire to it. Which is like, when your gas station runs out of your favorite, when your local gas station runs out of Baja Blast, you commit arson, right?
Every time, bro. Every time.
Yeah.
I don't really know what a Baja Blast is, but when I go to a gas station and there isn't one, I'm like, fuck. This shit gonna fucking burn, man. God. What do you mean you don't have Goo Deer? Take my gasoline!
Charlie, you should put this. I know this is in the break, but you should put this in the edit.
Yeah, no.
Next time, if any other game devs want us to review their game, please look up what kind. Sorry, look up what kind of podcast we actually are. Don't just go on the gaming tab and spam all the emails.
Oh no, Charlie. Like actually, after the fucking credits, put this entire segment where we're talking about Baja Blast, and then Quack going to say that, smacking his microphone. Like,
Did you see? Yeah.
The whole fucking thing at the end. No one's gonna fucking watch it, but anyone who does will really enjoy it.
Comment below if you saw this. Comment below.